Hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 55, part 2 of the Hunting Special series. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. Bandwidth for this episode is brought to you by Action Target. With me today, I have with me in the house, Sam Asner. How's it going, buddy?
Yes, 2 weeks in a row. I'm starting a new record here with you. Just got done recording an episode for Guns of Hollywood, the show I co-host with Allie Howe, also here on the Firearms Radio Network. So I'm going on a marathon tonight. I may just record a third one by myself, talking aimlessly into the mic for a couple hours, just because it feels so good.
There's no shame in that. What movie did you guys just do?
We just did Long Kiss Goodnight, which I was surprised by. It's fun. It's a fun film. So yeah, that's everyone's seen Behind the Curtains of Oz a little bit, but that'll be not this Saturday, but coming out next Saturday. So yeah.
Right on. Well, have you done anything on guns?
Well, I actually I discovered Arms List today, which is awesome because I'm trying to get rid of a couple things that I just don't shoot anymore. Like, I'm really trying to streamline my defensive pistols. Like, I fell in love with Glocks, and I have a SIG 226, which is gorgeous and is a fine gun, and like I love the mechanics of it, but I don't shoot it well, and I never practice with it because I train with my Glock. So it sits in my safe all the time. So I'm trying to sell it. And so I was like, hey, let me check out Arms List, Gunbroker. So I'm like trying to feel my way through the internet marketplace of guns. And at the same time, I'm trying to buy some handguns because I put in for permits, so those will be coming in soon. So I was looking on Arms List, see if I can get any deals. And I was like, hey, let me look at shotguns because, you can always use another shotgun. And I found a Hopkins & Allen, based upon its serial number and the location on the stamping. It's early 1900s, maybe even as late as like 1910. But it's a very old single-barrel break-action shotgun, 12 gauge with a 28 gauge adapter. I have no idea when that was produced, but the guy sold it to me with the 28 gauge adapter and like 4 or 5 boxes of 28 gauge shells, and the oddball factor of the 28 gauge alone was just enough to sell me. So I'm gonna love to go shoot around a skeet with it, and just much to the chagrin of everyone else around me, shoot around a skeet with the 28 gauge break action 100-year-old shotgun, because that's just the kind of thing I like to do. But yeah,
Nice.
that was today. That was very impulsive and enjoyable, hopefully.
Very cool. Yeah, I just I got a new scope in. I'll be doing a review next week for part 3 of the hunting special, the finale, and so I mounted it up on my my 22-250 and took it to the range, and it was really windy that day. So that scope actually has some windage holdover features, so I was able to actually test it, luckily. So I'm looking forward to doing that review next week. But I wanted to do...
What scope is it?
It's the Burris Predator Quest. It's Les Johnson. He's like a world champion coyote caller, and he does a lot of hunting shows on the Sportsman's Channel. He's got like a very thick, like Eastern accent, like Eastern United States accent. But anyway, okay. He's got this Predator Quest brand, and Simmons was making scopes for him first, but the quality wasn't all that great. So Burris picked up the line, and it's the same thing as their full field, like E1 model, but just offered in camo, and it comes with the anti-reflective device, a little honeycomb that screws on the end of the scope, like a anti-glare device. So I thought it would be pretty nice, and the camo matches my 22-250 perfectly. So I have to admit that was kind of, yeah. So look forward to that review next week.
Cool.
Yep. So let's get right into the announcements. Guests are always welcome. If you're interested in coming on to the show, email myself, cross@firearmsradio.tv. I'll say that again, cross@firearmsradio.tv. And we can talk about how we can get you on the show. It's pretty fun. So next up is the iTunes giveaway that we're doing right now. All you have to do is like us, or I'm sorry, give us a rating on iTunes, and not just a number rating or a star rating, because you've got to leave like an actual review, and then you have to email me, cross@firearmsradio.tv, with your name, your iTunes username, and your address, and you're entered to win. And we're giving away this month the Negrini Compact Handgun Case, and we've done a couple reviews on Negrini cases on the Firearms Insider. What do you think about them?
Hey, I love them. I tend to not have anything of enough value to put in such a nice case, as far as guns. But like, I have the 1911 case, and it's awesome because it's big enough to pretty much put anything you'd want in it. Doesn't have to be 1911, but the cool feature for me specifically in New Jersey is the very low key built-in locks, dial locks that mine has. I don't know if this one, the compact one that you're giving away, does, but
yep.
Mine has locks built in, which are awesome because you have to. There's certain transportation guidelines in the state of New Jersey that I have to follow. So if like I'm just taking a quick trip and I don't want to pack a whole range bag, being able to have this case locked, with a box of ammo, and that's all I need to take with me, that's really easy, and I like that.
Yep. Yeah, this does have those same locks. The only difference is that Sam's model had some specific it
was molded for a 1911.
Right. Yeah. Whereas this one has a foam lining that's pluck and pull, so it's been die cut to where you can actually pluck out the shape of your firearm of choice in the foam and kind of get like a custom fit or a more overall fit if you're planning on carrying multiple models in the same case, at different times. It's a sweet case. So we're looking forward to giving that away and making somebody's Black Friday happen.
Sorry, I didn't mention it before, but like the build, like not only are they like they look good, but like they're really sturdy. Like, granted, I didn't try to break it over my knee, but like the hinges, like I started bending it the wrong way, like just to see what it could do, and like I was giving it a good bit of pressure, and it didn't deform. It closed the same way it did normally. Like they're really as much as they are like pretty, and like the insides are well constructed and the locks are nice. They're really sturdy too, like the hinges, because that's like the biggest part to fail on any case is a hinge getting screwed up. So yeah.
I mean, you can really
they're
tell.
Awesome.
You can tell they're made in Italy and carry that craftsmanship quality. So you can go to their website, negrinicases.com, and check out what those look like, and then just leave us an iTunes review if you want to win one. So the deadline for those is going to be at the end of the month. I believe the 28th of, I'm sorry, I'm looking at October. The 25th of November, and so the 28th will be the podcast we'll release announcing the name, unless you watch this podcast live on Google Plus, in which you'll find out who won on the 25th. So there's that. Let's get right into the new product spotlight. This isn't necessarily new, but I just came across them in my local gun store, and they are ammunition offered by Double Tap, specifically designed for hunting applications, and it's actually handgun ammunition. So I've actually got a cartridge right here. They're hard cast lead, which, if you're not aware, hard cast lead is not designed to deform. It's designed to keep its shape, retain its weight, and just hit like a sledgehammer and keep going and break bone and just be really hard on a stubborn, thick-skinned animals. So when you're talking bare defense rounds in a Magnum revolver or a Magnum chambered pistol, you really want a hard cast round. So these are double tap hunters. They come 20 to a box, and you can also buy a box of 50. And they're all offered in a number of calibers. So, so you're interested. Say you're interested in the 44 Magnum. They have a number of. They have a couple different weights for hard cast. They have. Let's see here. They have 320 grain hard cast solids at a 20 round box on their website for $20.95. So that's just barely over $1 a round. And their description is this load hits like a semi-truck, 320 grain, wide, flat nose style bullet, and it does have gas checks in there too. And then the velocities on the box, they tell you what the recorded velocity is coming out of a 6-inch barrel and a 4-inch barrel. So, for example, these are 357 Magnums. These are 180 grain hard cast solid, and out of a 4-inch barrel, they're 1,300 feet per second. Out of a 6-inch barrel, it's 1,420 feet per second. And they also had these in 200 grain too. But I wanted something that was gonna be a little bit easier on my wrist, but still have a lot of velocity to where if I shot at something up to 75, 100 yards, there wouldn't be as much drop as a 200 grain bullet.
Looking on their website, there's something that they have that I don't know. I was looking for it for a while, and I kind of gave up because I got a Smith & Wesson 625, which is in 45 ACP, and you could shoot 45 auto rim through it. And 45 auto rim is a little more convenient because you don't have to utilize moon clips. You can just use you could load them normally and use the regular extractor to get the rounds out of there because it has a rim on it. And you can't find it anywhere, and I couldn't find casings anywhere to reload, but they have it. So I may impulsively buy $55 worth of auto rim cartridges. But yeah, they have in that product line, the DT Hunter product line, like any viable defensive or hunting cartridge is represented there. You get everything. So
yeah, there's 10 millimeter, there's 357 SIG, 357 Magnum, there's 38 Special, 38
P.
Super plus P, 40, 41 Magnum, 45 ACP,
50 AE.
Yeah, 50 AE.
For all you Desert Eagle owners.
Yeah, 454, 500 Smith & Wesson. There's even 9mm plus P cartridges too if you are ballsy and you carry a 9mm in the woods for bears and cougars and stuff. There's 147 grain.
9x25 Dillon. I am completely unfamiliar with that.
That is actually a 10mm neck down to 9mm.
Oh, how dare you! Just to throw a whole mess of powder in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 357 SIG on steroids. It's like
I love it. I want one. What shoots that? What do you shoot that out of?
A pistol, or I mean, yeah, a semi-auto.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Lone Wolf. They have some barrels chambered in that.
Whoa.
Yep. I think you pretty much get like a Glock that's chambered in 10mm, and then you'd get a conversion barrel. Yeah, exactly. Well, we should talk about that later on a handgun dedicated episode.
Interesting.
So
okay.
Yeah. So whatever your defensive cartridge is, I mean, you could take small to large game with these. So like a deer. It would pretty much go right through a deer, but if you were able to hit it in the shoulder and maybe get some ribs and some bone, it would definitely do a lot of damage and have a lot of knockdown power. But really, it's what I carry these for in the woods is for bears, because you have your rifle and that's optimum. But if they're close enough to where and you're caught off guard and you can't get to your rifle in time, or it's in the ATV and you're out doing your business, then it's nice to have a cartridge that's capable. That's you don't want to shoot a bear with a hollow point, because that bullet's going to expand and not penetrate and not really do what it's not going to stop the bear as much as you'd like it to. And these might, depending, it's all shot placement, but having a hard cast lead bullet is going to really be like a world of difference compared to shooting something like a Full Metal Jacket ball ammo that's got soft lead in a copper jacket. That's really not going to penetrate as much as you would like it to, and you're just going to end up pissing the bear off. So I would get some double tap hunters. And the thing is that they're like defensive ammo. You put them in your pistol when you're carrying them, but if you don't end up using them, you just put them back in the box, put them back in the safe, and you really only have to invest in it once unless you shoot them at the range at watermelons or something just for the heck
kicks.
of it. Yeah. But the price is pretty good. So the 357 Magnum, of course, they have more than just the hard cast lead. They have some nozzler jacketed hollow points and things like that are also designed to penetrate. But the 180 grain hard cast solids, a box of 20 rounds on their website is $19.95. To get the same load in a 50-round box is $44.95, or you can step up to the 200 grain hard cast solids, and it's the same price for 20 and for 50, $19.95 and $44.95 respectively. So I think they're pretty cool. Their competition would be like Buffalo Bore, but they were a little bit more expensive. And the velocities were a little bit different, and I like these double taps better. And I spent probably about 20 minutes at the gun counter with both boxes trying to decide like a kid at Toys R Us. So yeah, check these out if you carry a revolver in the woods, which most people end up doing anyway. Or if you have a 9mm pistol, at least get some of this 9mm plus P stuff, because I imagine
Gangster.
147.
I'm using nothing but ball ammo. Gangster shot placement in the eye.
Yeah. So, let's just look at that for example. So the double tap Hunter 9mm plus P 147 grain Full Metal Jacket flat point. The bullet is a Montana Gold Full Metal Jacket flat point. The ballistics is 1,135 feet per second at 421 foot-pounds from a Glock 17, and from a Glock 19, that velocity dropped just 15 feet per second. So if you for some reason think that's gonna, if maybe you don't have bears where you're hunting and it's just like javelina or hogs or coyotes or whatever, at least get these for your 9mm pistol. I'm not going to say step up to a man's gun, but step up to a man's gun.
Well, I mean, it's not a man's gun, but it's just it's something more appropriate for 9mm is appropriate for defense against humans, but maybe not defense against 800-pound bear.
No.
Like, hey, I want 4 times the gun if I'm facing 4 times the foe,
Yeah. Well, it's all about just the math and then the penetration and the delivery of energy that's going to stop that hungry threat. So the website for that is doubletapammo.net, and then you can look up that Hunter brand, Hunter line. So next up, speaking of Negrini, we were talking about earlier. We're talking about a sweet rifle case from Negrini, and this is their traveling sportsman. It's a 2-scoped rifle luggage case, and it does have wheels. The MSRP is $499, so it's a $500 case. It does carry 2 rifles, so if you are traveling to go hunting, it always makes sense to bring a backup rifle, or maybe it's a shotgun or something like that. But so the dimensions are 54 inches long by 15.5 inches high, and then it's got a depth of 6 inches. And it actually, on the top lid, is really nice. It's got these cargo nets, so you can stuff your vests and your gloves and your extra stuff in these cargo nets. So that way you're not having like a waste of space where nothing's in the lid. You can actually carry a lot of your gear right in your case and just throw it in the truck.
Is that space given at a sacrifice of formal foam padding, or is that because you have to make up the space somehow, because the case is tremendously slim. It looks very, like thin, if you will. Like the thickness isn't that big. So to be jamming clothes in there, like how does that work space-wise as far as getting the thing closed eventually? Because I know like my 3 and 4 XL hunting clothes ain't gonna fold that thin. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, how does that packing clothes in there work with the closing of the lid? It seems
I don't know, like the picture that I've got here. I mean, it certainly looks like they've got a lot of clothes tucked in there. So
it's almost like the top lid, instead of having normal like full padding that would contact the guns, you gain the space to put clothes in that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of built into the design of how it's securing and keeping those guns safe. That's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, another thing to note, just, because I was thinking about it, it's a 2-scoped rifle, but it's a traditional rifle. Bolt guns only, because the molding cutouts are for the profiles of bolt guns. So for modern sporting hunters, this may not be the best case. Guys that use modern sporting rifles.
Yeah, it would be like 2 muzzle loaders or 2 bolt-action rifles, scoped or unscoped. There is a padded divider that kind of sits in between. So if you stuffed your hunting clothes and some of your gear in those nets and closed the case, you wouldn't have to worry about them contacting your rifle and possibly wearing on the finish.
Okay,
there is
I
a
see
foam
that
divider.
now. I see that now because it's thin. I couldn't see it in that picture at first because it is kind of thin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it makes me love this case even more.
Yeah, it's rated for 50 pounds of cargo, and the overall weight of the case, unloaded, like nothing in it, is 21.9 pounds. So it's got quite a bit of heft to it without being full, which just means that or at least my experience with Negrini cases, it just means that it's not flimsy, it's not cheap, that it's got good hinges and good overall construction. And it's also got some slots 2 slots on either side, kind of in between the rifle spots for accessories. So, I mean, if you want to put your calls or maybe a couple boxes of ammo in those slots, it's also a nice area that's got walls, so your stuff's not going to be bouncing around. And you put in your box of ammo, put it into your rifles, close the case, flip it upside down, send it through baggage claim, and all your things, everything's shifted around. You're not going to have that issue. It's got a lot of walls for securing things and not having them move around. And it does have 4 steel and composite TSA acceptable combination locks. So not just 2, but 4.
Yeah, so you're not going to fly with it and end up with a busted case because the TSA broke into it to check it, even though it's already been double-checked and checked as a rifle.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah, and then it's got skate wheels, so I think those might be urethane.
Yeah, it's like it's like oversized, probably on bearing, so they're nice and smooth. I mean, from the specs and just the design, like it's sweet.
Yeah.
You know, it's certainly sweet. It seems like if you're the guy that does a lot of like destination hunting, and you do a lot of traveling for hunting, um, if you're hunting with a partner or if you like to have a backup gun with you, whatnot, this is a killer case. This is something to certainly consider.
Yeah, and if you're not interested in having two rifles, I mean, look at Negrini's other rifle cases and shotgun cases. I mean, I'd say shotgun cases are their specialty,
Yeah.
just because of the high-end trap guns and people really wanting a velvet lined case that's custom molded, that's gonna fit your chokes and your takedown double over and under trap gun that's $3,000. Yeah, but this case, I picked this because, for the hunting special, there's a lot of people that travel to hunt. They're hunting out of state or even out of country. So having a good, solid case that from the airport all the way to getting thrown in the truck and taken to the field, this is kind of a nice do-all case. And I think traveling with a firearm, at least one you care about, in a secure case is like super underrated. Like, I don't have any hard cases that are nearly this nice, and I'm regretting it. I would almost have to drive somewhere just because I wouldn't trust it going through baggage claim. But this is a sweet case. Go ahead.
Sorry. So for the pistol case by Negrini, but it's a good balance. Like, a Pelican case is bulletproof, but a Pelican case is also gigantic and cumbersome. And this is a little more manageable, and I would argue, aside from possibly waterproof features, is equally as secure and keeping your firearm safe. So I think it's like money being relatively equal. Like, I think this is a really good hunter and or everyday option instead of the military ruggedness that comes with a Pelican case.
Yeah,
which is something that appeals to their entire product line. Is like it gives you that balance.
Yeah, I mean, I would even go to say that it's a mobile two rifle gun safe. I mean, just the amount of storage that you have in there, and then it's got wheels, it's got locks. It's something that you want it investing in a case that's going to be so useful. So check that out at negrinicases.com. Next up, we actually have a backpack that's from Timberhawk, and it's called the Kill Shot. I've been looking at some hunting packs. I've collected a few old ones, and they quickly get worn, or new kind of configurations come out for backpacks. So this one it kind of looks like a more of a traditional backpack, where it doesn't really have a pack frame or anything on there. It's just a really comfortable pack, but it also has the ability to strap your bow or your rifle on either side of the pack, which I find is really helpful, especially if you're getting up into high country and doing a lot of walking around. It's nice to be able to securely put your gun on the backpack and be hands-free, or even after you've gotten your animal and you're dragging, or you need both hands to be able to get it back to your vehicle, and you can stow your rifle away on your back.
Yeah, and I think another thing, like breaking it down all the way to the essentials of like, whether it's hunting, camping, hiking, backpacking, whatever activity you'll do with a pack, ergonomics is huge, because if the ergos aren't right, you're going to be in pain, you're going to be uncomfortable, you're not going to want to use it. And as we were talking about, the design of it does have an internal frame. It's not, a bulky external frame system, but it's got, it has an aluminum internal frame. The adjustability and the configurations that are possible with the shoulder straps are are good, as well as, having what seems like a very comfortable padded waist strap. So like right off the bat, assuming you could find a configuration that's comfortable for you, like this is going to provide that necessary comfort that's going to help avoid uh, ergonomic issues as far as injuries as a result from the ergos.
Yeah. It looks like unloaded, it is 7 pounds, like by itself, which is pretty hefty for a backpack. But you gotta, I mean, like you said, the internal frame probably contributes to most of that weight. But all the extra, the padding and the compression straps to help stabilize everything is really gonna make a difference. Because
It's
I
like
have some cheap
it may
ones.
not be the lightest solution. There's certainly lighter solutions, but as far as like based upon like looking at the design, I think ultimately you're going to have like a lot of comfort and improved ergonomics, especially like you said, the ability to, if you're bow hunting, attach your bow to it, and if you're rifle hunting, attach your rifle to it. Whereas you're able to have both your hands and do things without, backtracking for your rifle or, balancing a sling on top of a backpack or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's got like this kind of like a little sack that hangs down that the gun stock can sit into, but then everything from the grip of the stock to about the bolt handle is exposed, and then one of the two that's got side compartments on the left and right hand side, and those you can kind of unbuckle those straps and kind of put your rifle in between that and then buckle them back, or is it does it look like you slide your rifle straight down? I'm wondering how easy it is to get your rifle, but it looks like it very securely holds your rifle close to the pack, so when you're hiking or climbing, you don't have weight shifting and kind of throwing off your balance.
And I mean that
It
comes
looks
back
really
to
secure.
the robust shoulder straps and waist strap. Securing the load is huge, especially when because it's
Yep.
not just a matter of the weight. Because depending on your configuration of hunting rifle, you may have tried to save some weight in that regard, but the outline and the center of gravity on an upright rifle that's strapped to it, that's why they have the drop down pouch is to get that lower to help with the physics involved with having that you know that rifle in an upright position.
Yeah, and it's
I
also
think it's
traveling.
a killer design.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's a killer
traveling through
design.
foliage, not having the barrel, having to duck down low enough to have the barrel be hitting branches above you and things like that.
Right.
It's definitely not a pack meant for like a truck hunter. It's really meant for people that are, parking and doing a lot of leg work and hoofing it to where they need to be. So the MSRP is $240, and the volume, as far as the space inside, is 3,325 cubic inches, and it is available in Realtree AP camouflage.
Cool.
If you're interested in that, go to timberhawk.com and go to products or backpacks and just look up the Kill Shot. They've got a couple other packs too. But I thought the Kill Shot was interesting just because the being able to carry either a rifle or a bow means you can have one pack and basically cover you for both seasons. And then it's also you can strap your binoculars to the shoulder straps, and then there's also you can put a hydration a hydropack reservoir with an insulated hose. It's always nice to be able to carry water with you. I always find that it adds extra weight, and I know that on a long hike, hydration really means that your muscles aren't going to fatigue. But sometimes it's like you got to make that sacrifice. Do you want to carry an extra 5 pounds of water with you, or just throw a couple water bottles in there? Just depends on how far you're planning to go.
Well,
Anyway,
that's a whole other discussion. Hydration.
yeah, right. We should have a water episode. No. So the www.timberhawk.com is the website for that. So next up we have actually a bow to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot of archery guys out there going, finally, tired of yakking about guns and stuff. This one's from Bowtech, and I bring it up on the show. It could actually very well go under the Tech Gadget wrap, because it's actually got some technology on there that, I mean, it's not brand new technology, but it's something that you're seeing more in the archery world as becoming a gimmick, not a gimmick, but something that bows the technology is advancing, and being able to take advantage of customizing your bow's speed and how smooth the draw is quickly without tools, without need of a bow press, is becoming something that's more of a standard feature than just an extra gimmick to fall back on. So
Yeah,
the
like
bow is
end user customization, basically.
exactly.
Like, it's cool. I'm trying to like fill myself in on what this is, and in general, Bowtech bows are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
My friend's
they've been
got one.
around.
I don't have one because I couldn't find one that would work right for me because I'm gigantic. But my friend's got a Bowtech, and they're sweet. They're certainly sweet all through their product range. They have some very accessible bows to get into archery with, and they have some like absurd top of the line type stuff. But this new power, I guess the technology is called power shift, and the item on the bow is called the power disc. Like
Yeah.
the power disc is the thing you adjust, and the power shift is the like system.
Yep.
And do you want to talk a little bit more about how? Do you know exactly how you go about doing that?
Yeah. So the bow is called the Prodigy, and it's going to be Bowtech's 2015 like flagship model. But it has that power shift technology with the power disc inside the cam. So it's binary cams, and the power disc is a small gold-colored gear with 3 settings. But it's pretty minuscule. It's not like honking or anything like that. So it's pretty remarkable what you're able to do with these 3 different settings. So in the first position, you can set it to high speed. So it's got a speed of 343 feet per second, which is pretty high standards. And so people that shoot IBO, those kind of competitions, they're really always pushing speed, because that's just flatter trajectory with your arrows. If there's windy conditions, arrows resist the wind better. It always seems like in competitions, speed is something everyone is always pushing for, and that's what bow manufacturers always like. Oh, I've got the fastest bow now, or we've tried this technology which leads to faster speeds. So 343 is a really good speed for the arrow. So as you would expect, that causes the draw to be kind of demanding with a really shallow valley. So I mean, when you pull that bow back, it really wants to go. There's no kind of ability to kind of like let off to where you can hold it for longer periods of time. It's really meant for that. It's kind of like just like a gear shifter, pretty much. So the second position is kind of like a middle ground between the apex and the bottom position. So position 3 is really meant for a smoother draw. And it's got a really easy deep valley when you pull, which translates to a lower speed. So this is really more for people that are shooting casually. It's not really. I guess you can hunt this way, but you don't want to have a too slow of an arrow and too slow of a velocity for hunting. But it's really meant for easier shooting, less demanding on your body. You can hold the string back longer and kind of work on your mechanics and get everything else ironed out. Now, position 2 splits the difference between those, which is kind of like a sweet spot that they're figuring a lot of people are going to like. being able to split the difference. But if you want to crank it up because you're about to do an archery shoot or you're about to go hunting, you can easily, with just a simple tool, change it, shift gears into that next position.
Listen, I'm a very novice archer. Like I said before on the last show, I haven't hunted yet. I'm certainly not a bow hunter, but I'm pretty confident in my archery skills. But my knowledge is fairly rudimentary. But it says like the comfort setting, right? It says when conditions turn to extremes and demand an effortless draw. So, and like we've been saying, it seems like as you get into the lower settings, like you're reducing your arrow speed, correct?
Yeah.
So if you're having adverse conditions in the field, right? Maybe a little precipitation, perhaps some winds. Isn't that when you would want the fastest arrow possible to cut through adverse conditions? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, to me, it seems counterintuitive to tune that arrow down and let it go slower when the biggest things you're combating against, would be those weather conditions.
Yeah, I think that's just a little bit of marketing speak and semantics. Because I mean, like in how do they say it, in the harsh conditions, where they mean like stress, to where you really don't want to be, cranking on your bow and your arm getting tired if you want a smoother draw. For example, I have two bows. I have a hunting bow and I have one that's meant more for just casual target practice and competition. It's not going that fast, and the poundage is set to more to like 55, whereas my hunting bow is set to like the low to mid 70s. So it's a much different
experience
feeling when you're drawing it back. The one obviously set lower, you can shoot more arrows in the day without getting fatigued. So I'm not really sure what they meant with that explanation.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, do we know? Like, is it going to go from 343 to like 275, like at the lowest setting? Like, what is the change in speed? Like,
I don't know. It's easier to match to get a measurement of the fastest speed that's achievable, because that's the number a lot of people are looking for. Nobody's really interested in how slow you can get that arrow to go, and that has to do with the grain of the shaft, the grain of the type of head, the grain of the arrowhead.
Well, not saying per se that it's a selling point how slow it could go, but what I'm saying is,
difference.
that like how much are you giving up in that comfort setting?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like you said, you're changing the draw characteristics, right? So it's not even like a good training aid to like put it in comfort mode, shoot 100 arrows, and like wrap up your training with like power mode or performance mode, like, because you're training outside of what that draw is. Like, you should be training for what the application is going to be. You know what I'm trying to say? I just think like it's gimmicky. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being overly critical, but I wouldn't buy it.
Well, I mean, it's not uncommon for somebody to have one bow for both hunting, casual shooting, because casual shooting is practice for either hunting or competitive shooting. And previously, if you wanted to adjust the poundage, the draw weight, and the velocity, you have to go to a shop or have your own bow press, and the bow press basically compresses the bow and takes the tension out of the strings, and so that way you can safely mess with the cams and things like that. The way this is set up, it eliminates that from the equation. So all you have to do is unscrew, or you remove one screw, loosen two other screws, adjust that gear, that power disc, and then tighten those 3 screws back together, and then you're good to go. So
okay, so basically it's like a one bow trainer / performance in one is what they're aiming at, which is kind of like the bigger thing. Okay, I think maybe they out-marketed themselves, because it confused me. Like, I overthought the whole thing. Like, if they just said like, and I understand like more, you want to like show more and more, but if it was just like a 2-setting thing where it's like a train and hunt with the same bow sort of thing, like tune it down for a more comfortable, shooting experience and tune it up for the performance. That makes more sense. It's like the middle ground classic setting kind of throws me for the loop.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of people that agree that why would you want one bow to do all three things? And obviously, when you change the setting, it's going to throw your sights off. So if you have your pins or your
Right.
moving sight set up, it's going to change all that. So if you're shooting competitively and you have like a magnified moving sight, all your numbers are going to be off because of that increase or decrease in velocity. And then same for
Hey,
hunting.
you
If you
bring that
have
up.
pins, yeah.
You bring that up, and now I hate it again. I don't want it anymore. I hate it now
Yeah.
because, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, your point of aim, point of impact is going to change greatly as you change, the
Yeah.
performance
Now, if
of
it
the
if
macro.
it came with sights, which it does not, but if it came with Bowtech pins or sights that had three settings to where you
Uh-huh.
can move that down too, and it would be kind of
Ooh,
close. That would
the
be
power
cool. But
sight.
yeah,
Bowtech power sight.
there's so much variable in that because of your arrow, the length, and your own personal draw length. I mean, I think there'd be too many variables to have something set up like a BDC for arrows, an
Right.
ADC. I don't think that would work.
I mean,
Uh,
all right, so technology and practicality aside, it's a sharp looking bow. The riser's pretty sweet looking. The cams look gnarly. That gold
yeah.
power disc is pretty sweet looking. So aesthetically, it's certainly pleasing.
Yep.
And I mean, that's half the
S-
fun too, right?
yeah, exactly. So for the archery guys out there, you're gonna want to hear the technical specs. So I'll just run through them real quick. The draw weights are 50, 60, and 70, which I believe those are actually the poundages for those three settings of that power disc, that power shift. So
Ooh.
70 at position 1, 50 at position 3, and 60 in position 2. And 50 is no slouch. That's what I like
Yeah.
because it's really comfortable, especially for a newer shooter, or I just want to hone down on my mechanics and my stance because that's a diminishing skill. And having a 50-pound draw weight, you can fling 100 arrows in a day and not wear out your arm. So it's got a mass weight of 4.2. Effective let off is 80%. It's got a draw length of range between 25 inches and 30.5 inches. It's got axle to axle height of 32 inches. I already mentioned the IBO speed is 343, and it's got a brace height of 7 inches. So
It's
it's
just too short on the draw for me.
yeah.
I'm like
Are
a
you like
31,
30,
31 and a half, something
31?
like that.
Yeah.
I'm a stupid draw.
I think I'm
So,
right at 30, so I might be okay. But being that this is brand new, I don't have an MSRP on it yet. They're gonna probably release it in 2015 for sure.
1,099.
But oh, where'd you
A
find that at?
thousand ninety nine. I looked up. I looked up bowhuntingmag.com. I googled and I found an article on bowhuntingmag.com. There's two. I know we're talking about the Prodigy right now, but there's two bows in the new lineup that have this technology. The Prodigy we're
Mhm.
talking about is 1,099 MSRP, and the Bowtech Boss actually has longer draw lengths. Goes up to 32 inches. So there's a little different configuration in that Boss model, but that's a 1149.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So is it
So
is it $1,000 99 cents or is it $1,099 0 cents?
$1,099.00.
Okay, thanks.
So 1,100 bucks.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in that, go on over to bowtecharchery.com and look under products and the Prodigy is the third one down. You can check that out. I think it's pretty sweet. I think that until I like to wait until that technology kind of gets picked up
Has a
and
couple
used
of
more
years.
and comes
Yeah.
comes down in price because I can't afford that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, you give it like 2, 3 years, you'll see $600 bows with the same technology.
yep, that'd be my budget right there.
Yeah, which is
So the next,
reasonable for a
yeah,
quality bow.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So next up is the sponsor product spotlight. Action Target is the bandwidth sponsor of this podcast. So if you go on over to their website using one of our affiliate links, or just use firearmsinsider.tv/Action Target, and remember to use the promo code radio15, you'll get 15% off your order of Action Target steel. So that is pretty awesome, and the website for that is store.actiontarget.com, but just use one of the affiliate links to get there. This week, I was really trying to find something that I could use for like hunting themed. I didn't try that hard last week, but this week I actually figured out the PT Hold Plus is a target holder, and you can. It's got a basically 3 clamps that are built in to hold your cardboard target, or you take a paper target and you staple it onto a cardboard or plastic backer, and it basically holds your target up. And it's made of steel, so if you shoot the stand, it's not going to blow apart like PVC pipe or like
Wood.
little like wood. So got an MSRP of $155, and it's got says that the PT Hold Plus holds your cardboard target and target backers simply and reliably, but it does so without the need for wood or staples. We use the same target clamp found on their PT Swinger and PT Drop Turn to grab the cardboard directly and not let it go. And it does, because the PT Hold Plus mounts to the top of a standard AT stand, you can mount your targets at different heights to increase realism. So 1 foot all the way to 4 feet for the height on that. And the brackets actually, or the clips, they're kind of like on like a curved plane a little bit, so they're kind of curving outwards, and that helps give the target more rigidity, so not flop around in the wind as much. So you want to keep that in mind. I kind of I photoshopped in the show notes an elk paper target on a piece of cardboard and kind of put it in the clips to kind of simulate what that would look like. But basically, if you're not at the range, you're just out in the field and you want to sight in your rifle or just do some target practice, and you want to use a target that has like a life-size elk or deer or other game animal on there, and maybe it has like the vitals shown, like the X-ray targets actually show you the vitals inside the skeletal system. You can set those up on this and get some more quality practice.
Cool. Yeah, I mean I would say the cool thing is Action Target, like they put a lot of thought into like the curvature of those clips, so that like I don't know, I like that, like details.
Yeah.
It's certainly a cool bit.
Yeah. So someone asked in the FAQ, how do cardboard targets stay upright? And so then they explain that the holder is slightly curved to give it more rigidity. So when people ask, will it be able to hold up paper targets? They say because the woodless holder is designed to hold targets from the bottom, paper targets will not have the rigidity to stay upright, so you'll need to combine them with some kind of backer, be it cardboard or plastic, or a thicker cardstock.
Cool.
But I think that's a pretty nice investment, especially it's got the weight and the design of that curvature. If it's kind of a windy day and you want to practice, guesstimating wind or whatnot, you don't have to worry about the wind blowing your target over because it's light and flimsy. So check that out on Action Target's website. So next up, we actually have the main topic, the panel discussion of reviews, and I'm going to go ahead and let Sam go first, as always.
Alrighty. All right, guys.
Your mic.
This week.
Okay, you're good.
Like I said.
Yeah,
you're
good. It just was momentary.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I mentioned before, I have yet to get out into the woods and do my own hunting, but one thing I thought of for this is a product that I've used several times before, and a product that I will continue to use and stand by is Birchwood Casey's True Oil. For those of you not familiar with it, it is a firearms finish for wood stocks, and couldn't be easier to use. Once your wood is prepped, stained, ready to go, you literally dip your fingers in this stuff and wipe it on the gun. The wood stock that's off the gun, you just wipe it on. Hang it up, let it dry, scuff it up a little bit with some really fine sandpaper, like 600, 800 grit. Put another layer on it and scuff it up, and then put another layer on it and scuff it up. As much as you want to get, either kind of a subtle finish or a real high finish, but the stuff's affordable and it's like completely worry-free and simple to use. So that's why I would say like the claim to fame is just like the ease of use. The ease of use and the end result of this product are just amazing. The target market, like, I'm sure there are gunsmiths that use this same product, but it's the hobby gunsmith, the general gun guy who wants to spruce up an old gun. That's kind of what this serves best. The features, it's just super easy to use. It's a no-brainer. The ease of use is definitely its strongest feature. When I first got into this stuff, I got it by just seeing the general support for this product out there on the internet. I've watched hours of YouTube videos of guys refinishing stocks with this product, and everyone has nothing but good things to say about it. You can buy it anywhere, Dick's, Walmart, maybe in some places. This is something you can find everywhere. As far as pricing, I think it usually runs about anywhere from like $9 to $12 for a small little bottle. I don't have a bottle handy on me right now, but it's affordable, and like one bottle can do maybe 2 stocks, so it'll last you. I will say, like, the reason why I thought about it for this hunting-related podcast is, I immediately thought, you think wood because the product is used on wood, and then I think, there's a lot of guys that have old, pops, old hunting gun. This is the gun that my dad gave me, or this is the gun I've used through 15 seasons of upland bird hunting. So wood wears and finishes wear, and this is a product that can go over existing finishes, in certain cases. And it's just a really simple, affordable, easy way to breathe new life into a weathered wooden stock. So I give this a 9. It kicks butt in a major way.
Yeah, my gunsmith, I've asked him what he uses on wood stocks before, and first thing out of his mouth was True Oil. I actually, right next to me, I have a Winchester. Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, an Ithaca 37, and I've used True Oil on it, and I actually need to touch it up a little bit, but I didn't want a shine. I wanted just like a matte, but really rich color, and that's exactly what I got with just, I think I put 3 coats on it. Really easy to use.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like,
go ahead.
The level of control you have over the finish is like awesome, because you could get a thicker coat but still maintain that matte finish if like you don't.
Say again?
Because that mirror finish, like what I was saying was how you choose to apply it is like you can control the finish. If you take that really fine sandpaper and really evenly scuff up everything so that the next coat fills in all those little nooks and crannies, you develop that real clear, thick finish. Or you put a few coats on nice and easy, and you'll get that same protectant and that same seal, but you'll have, like you said, that more matte, subdued finish. So it's an art form. It's like finger painting for gun guys. So and the stuff smells pretty good, but it's kind of a pain to wash off your hands. So I would suggest gloves. I wear gloves half the time when I use the stuff. So yeah, stuff's awesome.
Yep. And so did you mention the different sizes it comes in?
It does come in a range of sizes. Like they have the industrial gunsmith size, and then they have the 1 or 2 small project size. Um, I could look that up, but it does come in a variety of sizes.
Yeah, I would say that if you're just planning to use it for one gun, the 3-ounce plastic bottle is plenty. If you've got if you're still a do-it-yourselfer, just a casual gun guy, you're not a professional, and you've got more than one gun that you want to do this treatment on, I'd get the 8-ounce. And of course, if you're a gunsmith and you're planning on doing this on a lot of customer guns, I'd get the big old 32-ounce quart bottle. But yeah, they've got on their website, I see they've got a number of FAQs as far as people asking, will it work on laminate? Yes. Is it compatible with lacquer? No. So if you are if you want to make sure that whatever application you have in mind as far as the kind of wood and the process, go to their website. They've got a lot of question and answers on there.
Cool.
Yep. So sweet review, man. That's it's really cool.
Yeah, I know. This is kind of like 2 weeks in a row of like overlooked items that are just like totally kick ass.
Yeah, and inexpensive
and every
items.
shooter must have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I reviewed this week is a duck hunting shotgun, and I picked one that's like very well known in the shooting world. It's the Remington 870. I mean, it's like peanut butter and jelly for shotguns.
The shotgun.
It's Remington 870, and then the competitor is the Mossberg 500. But the 870s have been around for over half a century, and they've sold they've made over 10 million models. So the actual one that I'm reviewing it's the Express Super Magnum, and so that's kind of the one that's meant for duck hunting. That's why I'm wearing my duck hunting jacket. So it's chambered for 3.5-inch shells. Of course, it will shoot 3-inch shells and 2 3/4 shells. But for serious duck hunters that want to be more successful at knocking down birds at longer ranges in the air, as well as knocking them down and lethally and humanely, and not crippling them and having them be alive but unable to fly and swimming away, which is kind of something very common for a duck hunter, that we got a cripple, like we've got to go get that and kind of leave the blind, which kind of puts the pause button on the whole hunt thing. But the beauty of the 870 is how inexpensive it is. Well, the Express line of the 870s are the more inexpensive ones, which that lower cost comes with a trade-off in materials. So if you're looking for a shotgun that's going to last more than one generation and not have more quality, higher quality parts and internals, the Express line is not for you. You're gonna want the It's the Wingmaster or the Police. And so since Remington got bought out by Freedom Group in 2005, or acquired by Freedom Group, a lot of people say that the Express line has kind of decreased in quality. Which there is some things that initially they made some price cuts to the production, and so there were some issues. But I think today the Express line of shotguns are actually pretty high quality, and for the price point, it's hard to really beat, because you're looking for, I want a shotgun under $400. That's the price range I'm looking at. I want something that's capable of using 3.5-inch shells, knocking down geese and ducks, and the Super Magnum is going to be it. So there's 3 options to the Remington 870 Express Super Magnum. I'm just going to call it the Super Mag. You can get it in all black synthetic, which is what I got. So the handguard or the forend and the stock are just black synthetic composite material. They also have it in just classic walnut wood, and then they also have it where it's synthetic, but it's been dipped in hydrographic camouflage film, which I really wish that they had that when I bought mine, but they did not. I got mine really cheap. I got it at a Bi-Mart, and it was $30 on. It was on sale, $30 off the usual price, and then on top of that, there was a $30 instant or mail-in rebate from Remington. So I did that, and I think that brought the price down to like $309, like just over $300. And I've seen this in Walmart too. Walmart carries a specific Super Magnum model, and they also carry the 26-inch barreled camouflage version. So if you have a Walmart that has a wide selection in their firearms department, you could find this shotgun, and you can be duck hunting like tomorrow with it, or that day. So I got the synthetic, and then I ended up having it hydrocoated or hydrographic dipped. I actually had Zach Carlson from Lone Wolf Distributors do it. I don't know if he's doing it anymore. I forgot to ask him, but he was able to have this done for me. So I actually had it done an ATAX camo, which is kind of more of a tactical camouflage, but it works really well, I find, for duck reeds or out in the field or in the water. It's kind of an all-purpose camouflage that I thought looked really nice. So if you have like reeds camouflage on your shotgun and you're not standing in reeds, you kind of stick out, and that's something that ducks will notice. But anyway, why I had it dipped, obviously, a big black shotgun is, kind of obvious to a duck. So they're pretty attentive when they're circling your setup, your decoys. If you've got a big black gun that's sprawled out over some light-colored reeds, that might be something that spooks them off. So it's important to get either conceal it with some kind of foliage until you're ready to flush them, or have it painted. Of course, you can do a rattle can, just Krylon, but this is a little bit more professional and will last a little bit longer too. And a big reason for for having your Remington 870 Express Duracoated, Cerakoted, or hydro dipped is the dull finish on there. People have called it a rust magnet. I mean, that's not something you want to hear synonymous with your duck hunting shotgun, because ducks like water. Guns traditionally don't like water. If it rains or you drop your shotgun in the water, you don't want it to rust, within a couple of months. And so that some people say that finish has rusted really easily. Like they used it, they put it in their safe. A couple months later, they pulled it out, and there's already a light layer of rust developing. So it seems like the quality of that finish that they put on there, it's like they call it a non-glare dull finish, on the receiver and the barrel. Yeah, they basically say
garbage. I can attest to that. Both me and my friend, him more so, just from finger oils and whatnot, he put it away, and all of a sudden he had like a few little rusty thumbprints, where he put it away. Like it's a funky finish that didn't hold up. He Duracoated, I Cerakoted, but if you're buying a shotgun like that, you could afford to get it coated, because they're priced to sell, and it's fun to get a different color on there.
Yeah, and that coating really puts a barrier between moisture and your rifle, I mean the metal of the gun. But really, to prevent that from happening, you have to either just be more religious about cleaning it and lightly oiling it when you're storing it in a gun safe. Also, having a gun safe that's got some kind of desiccants or dehumidifier in it, or a combination of those three things. It's not like any other gun that you can just shoot in the rain and then throw it in your safe and 4 months later expect it to be perfectly fine like your other guns. You really got to be a little bit more careful with it if you aren't going to treat it with something. There's a lot of do-it-yourself things out there. I was reading some forums this week on people using car wax on it, and it just helps the water bead right off and keeps the moisture out of there. But I don't know about doing that. But yeah, having it hydro dipped, not only does it look cool and custom, I mean, you can have it dipped whatever you want. If it's a home defense shotgun, you can have like skulls or Hello Kitty put on it, or have it just done in a color or a carbon fiber pattern if you're into like that kind of high-end fashionable patterns.
Have it
or
dipped
just
like a broom. Hide it in plain sight.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, that finish is kind of one ding on the Remington 870. Another ding, especially for these Super Magnums, it seems like there's a stuck case issue that a lot of people have. Some people have claimed that they've shot thousands of rounds and never had that issue, which is great for them. But there's also thousands of people that have said this thing, the shell gets stuck in the chamber every 10th or 20th shot. And the only way to free that really is you have to just hold on to the forend and hold on to your buttstock and just slam that thing on the ground. Obviously, if you've already shot, you've got a clear chamber, and your finger's nowhere near the trigger, but you still want to be careful. You don't want to be slamming this against the wall and pointing it at other people. But that's the only way to really free it. And I have encountered that with my shotgun. And so what Remington has acknowledged it, and they've addressed it, saying if you disassemble your shotgun, take the barrel off of the receiver, and then lightly polish the inside of the chamber, then it helps to remedy that. And then of course they warn don't do it too much to where it's just a mirror finish, obviously. But so that's what I did, and I have not had an issue since then. So I used a Dremel, and then I used an attachment that I actually had just wrapped a whole bunch of cotton strips around, and then I used Flitz polishing compound, and I just really, the first 3.5 inches of that chamber, just really polish it out. And that seemed to help a lot as far as it's less surface friction on that shell. Some people say that it's just the quality of brass you're using. If you're using high brass, that's the brass of the back of the shell is higher. And of course, when you shoot, that brass is going to expand a little bit. And so if there's higher brass, it's actually staying, or there's more, I guess, surface for getting stuck in that barrel versus using low brass shells. And then some people, for some reason, say the opposite. You need to use high brass because those have more gunpowder or a heavier charge than cheap low brass shells. And so maybe it's a matter of just having enough velocity to disengage your action. So beware of that. I did the polishing thing and it works just fine. So one thing that Remington 870s are actually a good thing they're known for, instead of talking about bad things, is the smoothness of the action. When I pump this thing, it's really smooth. Some people have said that Mossberg's, when you pump it, it feels like it's about to come apart, because there's just the mechanism of it. It's a lot more mechanical. So 870s are known for just a smoother pump. Do that a couple more times to piss off my editor on the podcast for those levels. But the other great thing about Remington 870s is the availability of aftermarket parts for these things. They're like the AR-15s of the shotgun world. I mean, if you want a different pump, a different stock, you want a side saddle, you want a different bead on your front sight, you want to mount a scope, and you need a rail for the top, it's really up to you how you want to configure that shotgun. So it's really great I want a tactical shotgun. You can actually, Remington offers some tactical models, but you can buy just the cheapest tactical or the cheapest 870 you can get, and then customize it. Different barrels and different stocks to have it be however you want it. The Super Magnum is no different, except it is different. certain forends are incompatible with the Super Magnum because of you can see that the forend is actually overlapping the receiver all the way to the trigger guard. And so some, like this side saddle, for instance, this had like 6 shells on it. I actually had to hand trim it down to 3 shells and then do a lot of like inletting, and then I ended up repainting it just so I can carry 3 shells on a side saddle and be able to run the action of this shotgun without modifying the factory handguard. Like I could have easily taken a Dremel and just started to remove some plastic on this handguard, but I didn't really want to do that. So I thought it was much easier to modify the aftermarket part I was trying to get to fit the gun. So if you want to run a side saddle on this, be aware of that you can't run a full 6 shells down the side of the receiver unless you can use like a butt pad shell carrier if you want to. So a couple more differences between 870s and Mossberg 500s that they love to throw in our faces and we love to throw in their faces. So the Remington 870 has one single ejector, and it's actually it's riveted and ground flush to the receiver. So if your ejector breaks, you have to send it to the factory to have them replace it, or to take it to a competent gunsmith who can do that. Whereas the Mossberg 500s and just the other Mossberg shotguns, they have 2 ejectors, so it's kind of a redundancy, one in case one breaks. And then those are actually in there with a screw that you can take out with a flathead screwdriver. So it's a little bit more serviceable when it comes to ejectors, especially if you have a shotgun that gets jammed and you've got to slam it on the ground. You've got a chance of maybe forcibly breaking that ejector, and then you've got a whole other problem in your hands. So that's a downside. An upside, a difference between the two, is the loading gate stays down on the Remington 870. So as I bring the pump back in, the loading gate only lifts when I'm in the fully back position, and as I bring it forward, it drops back down. And this helps keep shells from maybe falling out. Maybe if there's a shell that if you're trying to like ghost load a shell, or a shell has come out of the magazine tube, it doesn't just fall straight to the ground. Whereas in the Mossberg 500s, their loading gate stays up, so there's nothing to catch those shells from falling down. So that's one good thing. It's kind of got like one downside is that when you're loading shells, you put your thumb in there, you load the shell. There's this loading gate is going to be constantly rubbing up against your thumb. So like my thumb's stuck in there. So that's not ideal. You got to kind of apply pressure to keep that loading gate up using maybe like your other hand to keep that gate up. So it's not really meant for a speed 3-gun shotgun, but it is reliable for hunting, and that's what we're kind of talking about. So covered that. It comes in 2 different barrel lengths, 26-inch and 28-inch. So you can, and then of course you can easily find an 18-inch barrel if you want to use it for home defense during the off season. The choke that comes with the barrels is the modified rem choke, and that's really more of an all-purpose type choke. It's not great at either end of the spectrum as far as keeping your group of pellets or BBs in the air nice and tight at longer ranges. It's not great at that like a full choke, and then it's also not super great at hitting a fast-moving target up close like an open choke would be. So it's kind of right in the middle, kind of best of both worlds, all-purpose, and it works okay. But you really ought to. At most actual like serious duck hunters will have a whole kit of different chokes, and they'll actually pattern test each choke with certain rounds, so like the Black Cloud or Federal steel shots, and you'll pattern that on paper at different ranges, 20, 50, and like 75 yards, to see how that choke how that pattern opens up using that choke. And so you'll kind of want to do it that to figure out, oh man, this choke is really good with these shells. And so that's kind of whether you're doing partridge, ducks, quail, geese. Each one of those hunts has a different type of choke that's needed, or at least, I mean, you can use this for all of them, but more ideally, you'd want a more of an open choke for faster moving birds, like quail. That you're going to spook up close, and you're not going to be taking longer shots at faster moving birds, really. And then conversely, with geese, a little bit farther out, it's a little bit of a slower moving target. You're going to want a fuller choke, so you're going to want to play around with that. But I think Remington has made this Super Mag shotgun to be more of an all-purpose. It can take the 3.5-inch shells. It can take the 2 3/4 shells. You can have it as a short barrel home defense. You can have it as a long barrel, bird buster. I think it's really up to you how you want this shotgun to be. And so I gave it a 7.5 as being good. I didn't consider it great just because of those downfalls that could easily been addressed, and I haven't seen evidence that it has yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the finishes are better, but I'm not reading anything of people saying, "Oh yeah, I just picked one up, and compared to my older one, it's not rusting." So I don't know if those have been addressed quite yet. So just running down the points for the review. Claim to fame is for those looking for that one shotgun to do it all. You'd be hard pressed to find a more affordable all-purpose option than the Remington 870 Express Super Magnum. So target market: upland, migratory, waterfowl hunters, also trap and skeet casual shooters. It's a great trap gun too for people that are learning or people that just want to brush up. It works well at the ranges. So the features and benefits: it's available in 26 or 28-inch, and it's a vent rib barrel, 12 gauge only. You can also get it as a combo kit that comes with the longer vent rib barrel, as well as a 20-inch rifled barrel that has iron sights on it, and so that would be more like a slug gun for deer hunting too. And it seems like that's only available with the walnut stock and forend, and not any of the other configurations. Chambered from 2 3/4, 3-inch, all the way to 3.5-inch 12-gauge shells. It's got the modified rem choke. The receiver is milled from a solid billet of steel for strength and durability. Now, Mossberg 500s, those are aluminum receivers. Now, the difference is steel is much stronger than aluminum, but prone to rust. Aluminum, not as strong as steel, but more resistant to rust. So there's definitely a trade-off there. Maybe for a waterfowl shotgun, you would have liked to. It would make more sense to use an aluminum receiver for that, fighting rust. But you also might think, you want this thing to last during some hard conditions. Throwing it in the truck, throwing it in the boat, dropping it, just the constant shooting season after season. You don't want this thing to eventually fall apart and get the tolerances get looser over time. That non-glare matte finish we talked about, which is garbage, and then it's got twin action bars for the forend, which kind of contribute to the reliable non-binding action, which that works great. The whole non-binding thing and that stuck shell in the chamber, that's up to you whether you've encountered that or not, or whether you're willing to take the gamble and get one of these and possibly have that stuck shell issue in the future. But if you look it up, there's plenty of people that have had it, and there's a number of solutions. So I talked about the different finishes available as far as the different furniture on the stocks, and then there's 3 different camo finishes. There's waterfowl, and then there's like a waterfowl turkey hybrid. So there's different reed patterns or wood patterns. What others are saying, or there's a review on Cabela's from Obtuse to Coden saying, bought the Super Magnum as it seemed like a good overall shotgun that would shoot steel. Took it dove hunting and it would not eject shells, cleaned and brushed the chamber, and took it trap shooting, and the same thing happened. I literally had to beat the stock on the ground to clear the chamber. I called Remington, and they are aware of the issue. They said the problem may be inexpensive shells with low brass cases. I bought some more expensive shells with high brass to try. Don't really have to ship it back to the company for repairs, even though Remington is willing to let me do that. Disappointing, especially since this seems to not be an uncommon problem with new 870s. And so then another review I actually purposely grabbed from Walmart's website, because they do have the Remington 870 Super Magnum, Express Super Magnum on Walmart's website. They say, I saw this on sale at my local Walmart and decided to pick it up after reading all the reviews and comparing it to the Mossberg 500. This gun is awesome except for a few things. One is that the camo coating does come off and get dinged up pretty easily. Don't expect this gun to take the beating a blued barrel would without some cosmetic issues. Secondly, and most importantly, is the gun jams. Saw some things about jamming and thought I'd take the risk. Every fifth shot or so, on average, so this gun would seem to jam up. Have to rack the gun very hard for it to eject the shell. Called Remington, and the only advice they gave me was polish the chamber. I took the gun apart completely, cleaned it, lubed it, and polished it. Same issue. Now, given the choice of waiting 4 to 6 weeks for repair or dealing with it, being the start of waterfowl and upland hunting soon, I'd rather not. Maybe have to wait until off-season before I can finally get it repaired. Otherwise, awesome price, great versatility, and between 2 3/4, 3-inch, and 3.5-inch shells. Lots of chokes, sights, slings, etc. out there for this 870 model. This gun is lightweight and seems pretty solid. If this jamming issue gets ironed out, then I'd definitely consider purchasing again. If repeat problems, or you just don't want to risk taking the chance for wait for repair, he would have gone with the Mossberg. So that was Dandy Dwarf on Walmart.com. So the MSRP of the Super Mag is $469. You can get it for retail between $310 and $367 at most major gun stores, including gun shops, but like Bi-Mart, Walmart, other sportsman stores that are like sporting goods stores with a hunting section, most likely they'll have the Remington 870 there. So that $367 price, that's actually on Walmart's website too. So like I said, 7.5 as good. My pros, compatible with nearly every accessory out there for the 870 on the aftermarket marketplace. The pump cycling action is very smooth compared to some other shotguns on the market. It's well suited for hunting and shooting clay pigeons. The safety position easily is accessible with your trigger finger. I love 870 shotgun safeties. It's actually right behind the trigger. On the review I have forward, I'll correct that. It's right behind the trigger, which means that when you're going to put it on safe, you take your trigger finger out of the trigger guard and hit safety, which is really nice because if it's like a Mossberg and it was up here on the hilt or the top of the receiver, you really don't want your trigger finger to be near the trigger while you're actuating that safety. Having it back here, it's easily accessible. You're not having to reach too far forward to get that safety. It's really nice that it's back here. The all-purpose design is nice depending on if you're a turkey hunter or an upland bird hunter or strictly a duck hunter. You can kind of custom build it to what you want it to do for the majority of the time, or you can leave it as is and it can be adequate at all those things. The price is low and hard to beat on sale, especially with frequent mail-in rebates that they have on at box stores. The cons, there was no forward sling swivel attachment on this thing when I bought it. They do have sling swivel points on the waterfowl models, but not the regular synthetic plain Jane one. So you got to buy an aftermarket like Uncle Mike's, magazine cap with a swivel on there, and then get a stock that's got a swivel point on there too. The rusting dull finish, give it a knock for that. The single ejection, the single ejector, that's considered to be a weak point. That the Wingmasters and the police models knowingly have a better quality metal construction in that ejector, whereas the Expresses have a lower quality metal. That's definitely something to note. And then the form that overlaps the receiver interferes with some aftermarket accessories. I gave it a knock for that too. So there's my long-winded review. It's still a great hunting shotgun. A lot of people have 870s. A lot of people love them. For someone who does not have one and is looking to get into a shotgun, I just wanted to get all those facts out there to kind of help them decide whether they want to get one and take the risks with the known factors that are out there, or perhaps maybe pass on it for something that's more specialized to what they are interested in. So next up, the tech gadget or app section, we have the Target Vision short range wireless spotting scope. And I know Sam's going to have something cool to say about this.
I think we do this already?
Well, we did, but it was the long range, like bigger version. And this one's meant for it's cheaper and it's meant for wireless spotting. Like 300 yards. It's just a new one that they came out with. It's meant for short range.
Okay.
And it works with a smartphone app too. So for hunting, right away I was thinking like you can use this as a trail camera because it actually has a live action mode. So you can actually set this up and be checking it out on your smartphone to see if have it set up in one field, be able to check if there's any activity there while you're sitting in another spot.
Now, how does that work? Does it connects what? Through the ether? Like, how does the signal get from that camera in the middle of the field to your smartphone?
I believe it, let's see, it has an antenna.
Mm-hmm.
So it's some kind of, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, some kind of Bluetooth or wireless bandwidth.
But it's not like you have to have like some sort of like other network infrastructure. It's just like out of the box, connects to your smartphone, simple, easy. Okay, yeah. Cool.
Yep. It's got a 12-volt DC charger and a 16-hour runtime without using batteries. So you can more portability if you were actually use it in some kind of high-tech hunting situation. 16-hour runtime is plenty in between hunts.
See, like I would use this at my range because I can't shoot past 300 at my range anyway.
Yeah.
And think about it, $600, right? Like to get quality glass in a spotting scope, you're gonna spend that much, right? Anyway, so it's a viable option, I'd say.
Yeah.
I just don't trust other shooters not hitting it by accident.
Yeah, well, it's like a digital camera that's got orange on it. We did cover the long range version in a different version in a previous episode, but the nice thing about this little one is that obviously it's portability. It's weather resistant, drop resistant. It's got a USB port to allow your device to stay charged if you're not near an outlet. It's got social media sharing options on it, and you can record and take snapshots. Like I said, that live camera view, and you can even have multiple viewers, so up to 10 devices connected to it at once. I know party hunting is illegal in a lot of states, but if you were to set this up and have 10 different people looking at it, I'm not saying you could strictly use it for deer, and of course you got to make sure that's okay in your area as far as laws, but it'd be pretty useful as a kind of a trail camera that serves more purposes, more functions than just being strapped to a tree and sitting in one spot all year long. You can set this up in a spot animals are coming out of and actually take some videography of them doing that, or if you have it set up close to where they are and then you want to film your shot and get a closer up shot of your bullet or your arrow impacting that animal, you could set that up with this camera. I think that's kind of cool.
Now it says log into the Wi-Fi network and open the Target Vision app to aim the camera until you're satisfied with your view. So a pre-existing Wi-Fi network, or the receiver and/or camera creates a Wi-Fi network?
Well, I know that the long-range version comes in like kind of a pelican-looking case, and inside that case looks to be Wi-Fi receiver, but that's really meant for longer ranges, and I think that might be built into this one because I'm not seeing a
Yeah,
picture.
it says the short range one, shorter ranges may not require the receiver. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing that these things create a network.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a Target Vision app. So it also says once the app is open, the shooter is able to aim the camera for the perfect view. So it seems like you'd be able to manually with your phone, move pan the camera, left and right. So that's really cool too, if that's possible. It is ideally meant for using it at the range and recording your shot. So you set it up to look at your target at longer range, a range that's too far for you to accurately see your shots in your scope. It actually takes a snapshot of the target, and then you shoot, and then it picks up that hole in the target and takes another snapshot. And so then it kind of overlays those two shots together, so it shows your target and then it flashes the shot with the hole in it. So essentially you can just keep putting bullet holes in your paper target all day long, and after each one it'll flash and show where that new bullet hole is and kind of alternate between the two views. So you could riddle a target with 22 caliber bullets and see each time where your bullet went in that group.
That is pretty sweet.
Yeah, so only what did I say, $5.95 is the MSRP on that. And you could get the long range version too, but that's $300 more. That's $8.95. So if you're interested in checking out those, go to targetvisioncam.com. They are taking pre-orders right now for the short range unit. If you order before December 5th, they guarantee delivery by Christmas. So they're going to ship them by, they say, December 18th. So if you're trying to get this as a gift before Christmas, you got to order before December 5th. Hint, hint, relatives that are listening to my show. Anyway, so listener feedback this week, we had one review from Mr. Stargate. He gave us a 5-star review. He said, good reviews and format, getting better every week, very informative and fun to listen to. So he was actually the first one to enter the Negrini case giveaway. So don't let Mr. Stargate be the only applicant that entered. Make sure you leave us an iTunes review and send me an email. So in closing, plug in the Power Factor podcast again. If you're interested in anything to do with the competitive realm of shooting, 3-gun, IPSC, IDPA, ISPC, 3-gun, I know I'm missing another one. I think maybe some long-range, like F-class stuff. They are experts in their field. They've been doing this for a while. They've had a very popular podcast before they even joined the network. So they're very knowledgeable, great guys. They cover some of that 3-gun or that competitive equipment you'll be wanting to use as well. So go on over to www.powerfactorshow.com to listen and subscribe to that. And then, of course, as always, listen to Guns of Hollywood podcast because
always. We're always having a good time over there. Like I said, we just finished recording Long Kiss Goodnight. That's going to be next week. We got a Red 2 coming out this Saturday. So we're kind of in the middle of some funny, silly, irreverent shoot-'em-up movies, and in the future maybe we'll be getting into something a little more serious. I have to recheck our schedule. But yeah, gunsofhollywood.com. Listen to us right here on the Firearms Radio Network. And yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. I always enjoy getting on here and hating on some stuff.
Yeah, that's always a pleasure to have you on here and hear your opinions on things, because a lot of times they're different from mine. You might see something as a non demographic and have an opinion on something, and maybe I didn't think about that. So it's always good to have you on the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks.
Yep. And so if you have any questions or comments, you can email podcast@firearmsinsight.com. firearmsinsider.tv or myself, Cross, at firearmsradio.tv. And remember to check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at www.firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And also be sure to visit the firearmsinsider.tv website for more reviews, updating almost every week. I know I'm busting my butt doing reviews every week, so make sure you check that out. And then also for industry coverage, SHOT Show, NRA Show, events like that, you want to go to firearmsinsider.tv and go to Facebook and like and follow the Firearms Insider too. So in closing, have a great week, everybody. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode, and stay safe and take care.